Good morning, and welcome to the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. With the always evolving world of cyber threats and defense, you need a source you can trust. FBI retired Special Agent Darren Mott guides you through today's intricate cyber landscape and brings you the latest headlines and insights and what it means to you. Let's dive into today's cyber news.
Good morning, friends. It is Wednesday, June 26, 2024. This is the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. I'm your host, retired FBI Supervisor Special Agent Darren Mott. Thanks so much for taking the time to download, listen, to pass information in this podcast to your friends, to reading the articles that are always in the show notes of this podcast. We're going to get right into it because a lot of stuff going on. Did I get to every piece of cyber news that happened over the past 24, 48 hours? No, just kind of things that I think are interesting to me that hopefully are of interest to you. Now, this first one, there's a little skepticism on my part as to whether it's real or not because it wasn't really all over the place, right? So, but let's talk about it anyway. This is from scmagazine.com, and I saw it in a few other places too. Steve Zurier reporting, deadline looms for alleged lockbit extortion of feds over 33 terabytes worth of data. Less than 24 hours remain on a threat by the Lockbit ransomware group to release 33 terabytes of government data tied to an alleged breach of the Federal Reserve Board. While there's been no confirmation of the breach and the Fed remains mum, the deadline of June 25th looms. Now, I am recording this late into June 25th, and I have not heard that this data has come out. So this is going to lead to our second article today, but it's interesting to see. Now, if this is true, if they actually did get 33 terabytes from the Reserve Board, then that's a big problem. If it's bogus, then not so much a big problem, but an interesting move and change in methodology for the bad guys. But why would someone want information from the Federal Reserve Board? Well, Lockbit, with believed ties to Russia, has attacked many types of organizations, including small businesses, multinational corporations, hospitals, schools, nonprofit organizations, critical infrastructure, and so on and so on and so on. If reports are true that Lockbit is extorting the U.S. Federal Reserve, tensions are sure to be escalating between Russia and the United States. Now, if you remember, late last week, the Biden administration banned the use of Kaspersky antivirus software and then followed up by placing 12 Kaspersky executives on the specially designated national list. Also on May 7th, the Treasury Department indicted Dmitry Yurovich Khrushchev, claiming he was the mastermind behind Lockbit. So, one of a couple things could be happening here. They actually did get in the Federal Reserve, they've had the information, and now they're extorting the U.S. for it. Or they're making it up. And part of it is it could be revenge for what happened with Kaspersky. It could be a lot of different things. This is not the first time this has kind of happened. They did something similar when... I read this on a different article, but in 2015, Russians hacked another entity because of something that was going on. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Black Energy attacked, who'd they repent? Okay, well, maybe I just read let me read the paragraph. That would be the better route to go. So Morgan Wright, Chief Security Advisor for Sentinel-1 and an SC Media columnist, said today's news is in line with other Russian attacks, which often are in retaliation for perceived or actual actions. Wright pointed out that the Black Energy attack on December 23rd, 2015 was retaliation for a vote taken by Ukraine to join NATO. All right. So, it still remains to be seen whether this is true or not. It'd be interesting to see because there's plenty of people that do dark web scraping and things like that. Whether they can find this data depends on where it's located, obviously, if they're making it public or not. So more news to come on this, but you would like to think that the Reserve Board would have enough cybersecurity controls in place to protect it, but it is a government institution, so maybe not. Now, this leads to my second article, which I thought was interesting in line with that one. This is from HelpNetSecurity.com. Atay Mehor reporting, why are threat actors faking data breaches? Earlier this year, Europcar discovered a hacker selling info on its 50 million customers on the dark web. The European car rental company immediately launched an investigation only to discover that the data being sold was completely doctored, possibly using generative AI. The most obvious reason why hackers are selling fake data is because there is money to be made, obviously. When you think of it, it is like a criminal trying to peddle fake jewelry or replica watches, but there are other possible reasons. Earning notoriety, creating distractions, destroying reputation, so on. So this may be a move that some of these hacker groups are making where they don't really have the data, but they make it seem like it is because every other day there's somebody losing data. So it would make sense that these entities would have data breaches and have all this data lost. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a way that this kind of data breach stuff evolves, right? Because cybercrime is always evolving. So how do you protect against it? Well, ideally, if you have data you need to protect, you're encrypting it at rest, you're encrypting it when it's moving around your network, and you are doing the right things for the right reasons to protect yourself, chances are your company is probably not. If you would like an assessment on whether you are or not, you're welcome to call me, Darren at thecyberguy.com. I do cyber assessments at a reasonable rate. All right, predators steal, this is from theregister.com. Connor Jones, crypto scammer circle back, poses lawyers and steal an extra $10 million in a truly devious plan. The FBI says in just 12 months, scumbags stole around $10 million from victims of crypto scams after posing as helpful lawyers offering to recover their lost tokens. Between February 2023 and 2024, scammers were kicking U.S. victims while they were already down. This is some fantastic writing. Preying on their financial vulnerability to defraud them for a second time in what must be seen as a new low even for that particular breed of dirtball. That's good writing, Connor. I'm not going to lie. In the latest update from the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3, on an ongoing issue which was publicized in August last year, the Register heard there was a rise in these fake companies cropping up, which claim to help recover stolen crypto in exchange for fees that would never be returned. But this is the first time IC3 has put a monetary value to the crime. These law firms, quote unquote, contact victims on social media and messaging platforms, claiming to have the proper authority to carry out successful fraud investigations when in fact they have no business serving seizure orders on the likes of cryptocurrency companies. So if you have been scammed by these cryptocurrency guys, the pig butchering and all of the like, just be aware that here is a new effort they are going to make to get more money from you. So this is an important article, honestly. I probably should have been number one. I'm going to post this on LinkedIn later when I'm done with this podcast just to kind of highlight this and hopefully get some more traction on it. But this is really, again, another evolution of the crime as it will continue to evolve over time. But again, it's unfortunate that they are victimizing already victimized people. Darkreading.com, Vijayan reporting threat actor may have accessed sensitive info on CISA's chemical app. And subheadline, an unknown adversary compromised a CISA app containing the data via vulnerability in the Avante Connect secure appliance this January. An unknown threat actor may have accessed critical information on U.S. chemical facilities by compromising the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's Chemical Security Assessment Tool. Seems like I reported this before, but it's new, so okay. Data the adversary may have accessed includes the types and quantities of chemicals stored at different facilities, facility-specific security vulnerability assessments, site security plans, and personnel identity information of individuals who might have sought access to restricted areas at high-risk facilities. Now, this is problematic because this appears to be could be terrorism related, right? Because that information is valuable to terrorists. According to CISA, a threat actor may have accessed data in its CSAT application after chaining together several zero-day vulnerabilities Avante disclosed earlier this year in its Connect Secure appliance. In a notification letter to stakeholders, DHS Security Director Kelly Murray said the intrusion happened during a 2-day period between January 23rd and 2026. Seems like we reported it at that time. But the point being here is, again, as I always say, everybody's a victim, can be a victim, will be a victim. And this is not CISA's fault, honestly. They were using an appliance that had bad code that bad guys were able to compromise. So, I give CISA some grace here on this one because it's really not their fault per se. It's Avante's fault. But again, it shows the issue with supply chain management, right? When you're getting stuff in the supply chain of your digital infrastructure, if it's vulnerable, you become vulnerable. How do you protect against it? You have to have continuous vigilance into reviewing and looking through your network. And there is software vulnerability testing. There are companies that do that, but I'm guessing that Avante does it, either thought they did it right themselves or didn't want to pay for it or what have you. Hard to tell. But again, here we are. CISA, the premier cybersecurity entity in the federal government, had one of their applications compromised. Cyberscoop.com, AJ Vicente, U.S. car dealers feeling the pain of the CDK cyber attack. At least 6 companies have alerted the Security and Exchange Commission that the fallout from the ransomware attack on automotive industry software provider CDK Global has had a negative or disruptive impact on their operation, according to recent filings with the agency. And this is something that Paul Perry and I talked about on our new podcast, Tactical Cyber, available at all your fine downloading sites. So feel free to check that out if you missed it last week. Next episode will be next week. But this was a big intrusion that occurred on that day. In filings made public Friday and Monday, 6 major automotive dealers, Lithium Motors, Group 1 Automotive, Penske Automotive Group, Sonic Automotive, Asbury Automotive Group, and AutoNation said their operations have been affected by the attack on CDK. The effects of the ransomware attack are being felt by U.S. car dealers less than a week after CDK detected a cyber attack and announced that out of abundance caution and concern for its customers, it had shut down most of its systems. So what does CDK do? They have something to do with the financing part of car dealers, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not that well versed in what exactly it is they do, but clearly, this is part of the car dealer supply chain, the stuff that CDK does, and now they are having issues with this. I guess the one thing you can say in a couple of weeks, there's going to be a lot of good car deals you can probably go find. So if you're looking for a new car, maybe now's the time to buy because maybe you can get a deal. scmedia.com. Sean Nichols, Levi's caught with its pants down. Another good headline. Hackers expose 72,000 customer account details. Denim clothing king Levi Strauss said some 72,000 customer accounts could be under attack from threat actors. The retailer said in a filing with regulators that while it did not experience a network breach of its own, of course it didn't, attackers were able to reuse passwords from other sites in order to achieve a massive theft of customer accounts. Exposed data include name, email, mailing address, order history, and the last 4 digits of the user payment card. Now, here's one thing I'm going to say on this, right, is Levi can say their network was not breached and it's their users had bad password management. Fair enough. But there's 2 things you can do, Levi, that prevents this situation. It is mandate your users have 15 characters or more on their passwords. Chances are they don't have that. And those haven't been compromised, or at least they'll have to create a new one. The second thing, mandate multi-factor authentication, because chances are it was not enabled because you don't have it enabled for people to get into your account. So you are vulnerable whether you like it or not. Again, they're not listening to me on this, but that is my point here, is that there's things these companies can do that say they're not at fault because, it's not, your user was stupid, but you can do things as a company that can prevent this from happening. That's the end of my rant for today. CSOonline.com. New rat digs into Android phones to steal data and encrypted files. So this is Shweta Shawarma reporting. If you are an Android user, listen up. Outdated phones infected with the Rafael rat can allow threat actors to access, encrypt, and exfiltrate sensitive user information. Outdated Android devices are being targeted by novel targeted malware called the Rafael rat to steal data and sometimes carry out ransomware attacks. So how old is your machine got to be? Let's see if it says. This is a fairly lengthy article. And it doesn't really say how old your Android has to be. So the point being here, if you have an old Android, you may want to update your operating system on that to fix this problem. It says that the malware, as observed till now, configures a command and control panel which allows a set of invasive operations, including access to information such as device model, version, country, SIM operator, current charge level, language, running applications, and RAM details, among others. Apart from info stealing, the malware also has found to have, in some modified versions, a ransomware module that operated features for executing an extortion scheme. When the malware obtains device admin privileges, it can alter the lock screen password. So basically, they're ransoming your phone. So a couple things. If you're an Android user, back up your phone stuff. Update your phone, and you'll probably be okay. But again, if you don't do those things, then your Android device may be at risk. Another way around that, buy an Apple. Change Healthcare, malwarebytes.com. This is a Change Healthcare update. Change Healthcare confirms the customer data stolen in the ransomware attack. It's from Peter Arnst. For the first time since news broke about a ransomware attack on Change Healthcare, the company has released details about the data stolen during the attack. It says, based on initial targeted data sampling to date, the company has found files containing protected health information and personally identifiable information, which could cover a substantial portion of people in America. And it includes all the stuff here: contact information, health insurance information, billing, claims, and payment information, and other personal information. It includes social security numbers, driver's license, and other things. So chances are you're going to be getting a letter with free credit monitoring for at least a year. So look for that. It's coming your way. That's going to do it for this episode of the Cyber Smart Morning News Update. As always, if you have questions, thoughts, comments, you can email me. Find me on LinkedIn. My book comes out, Get Cyber Smart, comes out on Friday. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back again on Friday.
Cyber Smart Morning News is written and produced by Cyber Guy Productions. Feel free to email thoughts, comments, or suggestions to Darren at thecyberguy.com or follow Darren on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/DarrettMott. Thanks for listening.